fellow students. In continuation with the digital education initiative by Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Technical University, here is another lecture on subject VLSI technology. The topic for the lecture is etching techniques, and these etching techniques we are going to deal with in 2 lectures, in continuous 2 lectures. I am your faculty Sangeeta Mangesh from Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering, JSS Academy of Technical Education, Noida. The content for today's lecture include: we are going to see the need for etching in VLSI, what are the different techniques of etching. At the end of this lecture, I expect you as a student, you should be able to explain the role of process of etching in integrated circuit design or IC fabrication. You should be able to define the parameters associated with etching, and lastly you should also be able to analyze the role of specific characteristics and how to explore them, how to make use of such characteristics to achieve desired results from the process of etching. Now, let us start. As you all know, in previous lectures we have seen photolithography, where the technique was basically used to transfer the patterns through a mask. Now, when you are transferring the pattern, the entire surface was getting coated with a photosensitive material, or we call it as a PV, which were basically positive photoresist, PR film we used to call it, the positive photoresist or negative photoresist. That was basically being done to attain or to demark the area or select a particular area. Now, once the pattern is getting transferred onto the, or once the pattern is being transferred, now here comes, like suppose for example, my pattern is already transferred. Now, after etching, okay, after what you call exposure, this was my mask. Here I was having the complete layer of the photoresist. When the mask was like the light was allowed to enter into this one, so this area was basically weakened because it was positive photoresist. So, finally, my surface was having only this pattern and this pattern was exposed. Okay. Now, what happened is I have done something, or I have already carried out the specific task for which I have demarked this area or selected this area. After this, my PR is still existing or photoresist layer is still existing. Suppose I have deposited some silicon dioxide over here. Now, I want to open up this area for further processing. I want to carry out further trenches or some other process associated with it. Now, if I want to carry out some other process over here, I must eliminate or I must remove this PR, and the removal of PR being very essential in to continue the process, we need the removal of PR is basically carried out using process called etching. Now, in order to carry out or in order to dissolve this PR into a suitable etchant, you need a chemical reaction to happen between the etchant and the layer which is existing onto the substrate, and therefore, the regions, that is what it is mentioned over here, the important regions and unwanted material portions which are removed from the wafer surface by the process called etching. Now, depending upon the type of material you are using, if it is a chemical material, we are dissolving the layer using a chemical material or some material which is liquid in nature or gaseous in nature, like basically liquid in nature, we call it as a wet etching. Whereas, if physically you are removing that particular material through some plasma assisted technique or some other technique, we call it as a dry etching. As the name suggests, these are the 2 different types of etching processes which are generally used in VLSI technology. We are going to check each one of them. So, first we are going to go ahead with wet etching. Now, etching in combination with or in conjunction with patterning in conjunction with patterning is used to cut open different cut open different openings or protective films through the protective films, for example for creating diffusion area or ion implantation areas, which are essentially needed to define the functionality of the devices. Etching is also used to delineate one or more layers of metallization. You know, there can be multiple layers of metallizations, and to establish interconnect between them you need to delineate them, or you need to interconnect them through piercing the layer in between which is isolating them. Now, this is basically, or as well as you need to form the tracks. Under those situations also you many times need what you call this particular technique, etching technique being used if you want to lay or unwanted metallization tracks, if you want to eliminate, or if you want to delineate this particular what you call multiple layers of metallization, you need to go for etching or removal of those particular species, and that is what there lies the importance of overall etching process. Along with patterning, etching is also used to cut open contact pads for creating contact terminals. For example, in your MOSFETs, you know already your you have source and drain diffusion areas, you have silicon dioxide layer. So, if you want to cut open this particular area and establish the contact, so for contact pads also you need to pierce or penetrate through this particular oxide layer and establish the metal contact with the diffusion, heavily doped diffusion region, and that job is also done using etching. In case of wet etching, you need a solution or etchant. Typically, if you see the example, you have hydrofluoric acid and buffered with ammonium fluoride. It is a typical solution which is being used, commonly used as an etchant. Wet chemical etching is very old technique, vastly studied, and till recently, when there was a limitation because of the miniaturization, this technique was being popularly used, but there are plus and minus points associated with it, and we are going to study all of them. So, please remember, in case of chemical etching, that is wet chemical etching, the most important dependencies or the typical parameters which are, or typical dependencies which are affecting the overall etching process are immersion time, etchant concentration, the temperature, and the amount of, like, the way in which it is behaving, the chemical reaction that is happening is very, very important, that can lead to under or over etching. With advancement and miniaturization, of course, with new technologies have been introduced, there are different latest technologies which are incorporating plasma assistive or plasma reactive ion beam etchings, or basically these are the different techniques where we incorporate the use of plasma and carry out the technique of etching. Here the example or this particular the etching process is being elaborated over here in this particular area. Here you are having a deposited film, the photoresist layer is then deposited to isolate, to create the or to transfer the pattern through this mask. Now, I told you already, like we have seen earlier also, the light is focused. The moment light is get like this particular area is getting exposed, so this area will be eliminated, and you will be left with photoresist only on this particular area. Now, you need to remove that, and that can be removed, and this is how with etch mask you are having this particular thing, and further you can develop it in the etchant solution and eliminate the unwanted portion, and that is what is being, see here we have developed it, this is getting removed, this is removed, and post removal this is my result, this is my result. So, this is what is exactly what I am going to get after the etching process, and this is what is the use of etching in the IC fabrication. Usually selectivity and directionality are the main focus points. Selectivity comes from the chemistry, directionality comes from the physical processes. The modern etching techniques try to optimize both these things, and therefore, we have different applications, and because of this property where you do not have the uniform what you call etching or you do not have the exact, like whatever etch rate is there in the vertical direction as well as in the horizontal direction, you may not get that same etch rate, and that can lead to complications, or that need to be that is to be tackled in a proper way, and therefore, therefore this particular wet etching is quite challenging at times. Similarly, this particular unevenness in the etching rate in the vertical as well as horizontal direction, you may have something known as under etch or over etch, and this particular etching is not suited when your miniaturization is happening or device dimensions are reducing below micrometer range, or you are approaching the nanoscale era. Therefore, we need to go for new techniques. However, wet etching has very good selectivity, that is etch rate is very strong. It can have, like you can have selective etchant solution, different specialized etching solutions can be used, and you can have precise etching dependent if your chemical reaction is well studied, since as it is the wet etching is very well researched, you can have very good control provided you know the exact chemical composition of the layer and the etchant which is suitable to dissolve that layer. If both things are properly known to us, both chemistries, their behavior, their chemical reactions, everything is known to us, we can program or we can attain very good precision in chemical wet chemical etching also. So, wet etching, it is isotropic, that is it is not uniform, and therefore, like isotropic, which leads to large bias when you are going for etching of the thick films. Another major drawback of wet etching, chemical etching is the disposal, like once you carry out the etching, it will have the dissolved film into it. Those strong chemicals or etchants need to be disposed of, and to dispose them off you need to have lot of, like had it been the gaseous form, you could have made it to react with some like you would have gone for neutralization of them and release them properly. But in this case, you cannot simply discard whatever acidic solutions or etchants you are using for dissolving the layer. So, in order to have or order to handle such chemicals, you have to be very careful. You need to carefully dispose them off. You cannot simply throw them in the dustbin, or you cannot simply throw them in the basin. So, that is what is very risky factor. There are hazards associated with them, and therefore, you need to have you need to take lot of care while disposing them, and that is why you have this another method called dry etching coming into picture, or which is making you or getting rid of this particular disposal problem. The dry etching, that was all about the wet chemical etching. If you see dry etching on the other hand, it is highly anisotropic, but it is less selective. What these terminologies are, we are going to see, then you will be able to better correlate it. But remember that it has greater ability to etch away the smaller structures, and therefore, in miniaturization what you call geometries or in miniaturization devices, this is going to be very useful thing, or dry etching is always preferred. Now, what is exactly the basic mechanism happening in etching? Now, you know already there are three basic things which are happening. First, whenever you want to dissolve a certain species, first you have to transport the reactive species onto the surface. This is the first stage. Then there will be reaction with those species onto the surface. Now, when the reaction, so that is the second phase when the reaction is going to happen. And third is, once the reaction is over, you need to drive away the residues or drive away the resultant byproducts which are there once the etching process is over. Now, in this case please understand, if I am having a particular material or etchant I say if I am dissolving what you call my wafer onto particular or on a like I am immersing my wafer into some chemical agent for a particular duration. Now, what will happen is till the time, okay, so this is basically a stagnant layer getting formed onto it and the reaction is happening over here. Now, this stagnant layer or the reaction at this, like the process of etching at this instant is controlled or is restricted or is limited by the diffusion. Now, what does that mean? It is basically there is a limited availability of etchant solution. The availability of etchant solution is limited over here, and since there are no more species available, the reaction is limited over here. Now, if I stir this particular liquid and I make other extra species which are adjacent to it available for reaction over this stagnant layer, naturally the etchant or the next step of etching or the etching then subsequently will be dependent upon the rate at which the reaction is happening. That means, the process initially will be limited by the surface reaction, and when it is okay. So, when till the time the species are available, the reaction will happening, then there will be a stagnant layer. The limited that time the controlling authority or the controlling ability or the limitation the reaction will be limited by the diffusion, because there are no other species available for carrying out the reaction further, and that is why we call it as okay. And once the other species are available, please understand, once the other species are available, made available, the reaction will again happen, and that time your reaction is surface rate of reaction dependent, like how many species are available to get reacted, how many species it can further dissolve. So, that will decide. So, that rate will be then stronger, it can have ability to dissolve further, and therefore, here you can have some surface defects getting caused, or that particular this can result into creation of some surface defects onto the wafer. Whereas, when etching is limited by the diffusion, that is initially the species are transported, the reaction has happened and there is a stagnant layer formed. So, the reaction is limited by the diffusion, because there are no more species available, the layer is stagnant. Under this situation, you will have a very smooth surface, because the reaction has happened for the species which are available. There are no more etching or the species which are ready to dissolve my surface or my substrate layer are available. So, that means please understand, till the time there is a stagnant layer and no more species are made available, my surface is going to be smooth, uniform. The moment I stir it or move it, okay, that means now please understand, now once I this is also there is another way of interpreting the same thing. In order to have uniform availability of etchant species, I need to constantly stir the material, otherwise there will be a stagnant layer formation and there may be non-uniform etching onto the surface. So, in order to have uniform etching, I need to stir the etchant solution, so that the species are available continuously for reaction and there is uniform etching happening throughout. Agreed? So, but please remember, when only rate of etching is defining, that the reaction rate dependent etching is happening, there is a possibility of surface damage, whereas if it is limited by diffusion, there is a very smooth surface getting formed. So, you have to remember that the exposure time is a very important, or it is very important as far as your chemical like dissolving the layer into the chemical composition is concerned. In considering the etching of silicon or etching application to silicon, the most commonly mixtures which are used are the nitric acid, that is HNO3, and hydrofluoric acid diluted with water or acetic acid. The overall reaction needs what you call we have anodic reaction here, and we need basically holes for creating reaction or activate, like you have something known as autocatalytic reaction, in which this particular byproduct which is automatically getting created, and it is like it is essential, it is a part of your HNO3, and this is basically giving you holes which are essential for reaction. Now, this is autocatalytic reaction, it keeps on happening, it keeps on regenerating HNO2, again it will produce holes, from holes again HNO2 will form, and that is how you will have the reaction happening over here. It is basically followed by cathodic reaction HNO3, where the supply of holes will enter into the oxygen reaction to produce SiO2, and which will in turn react with hydrofluoric acid to form the soluble complex H2SiF6. I told you already, it is the autocatalytic reaction. Now, before studying this, you also know, or you are expected to know, different terminologies associated. One of the terminology is H rate. The film thickness removed per unit time, we call it as a H rate, and it is very significant because it is very important. Unless and until you know the chemical composition, that will define the H rate. Depending upon the chemical reaction, the H rate will be decided. The agent must remove the selected material with appreciably affecting the properties of the other material. For example, if I am having here I am having silicon dioxide, adjacent to it I am having silicon, and I want to remove some portion or some selective area from this particular, only I need to create a trench over here, small for contact. So, it should not hamper, or it should not, when I am using chemical agent, I am expected that that agent should not should have no impact on the other areas which are adjacent to my surface. When etching process or it happens, the same rate should be there in all directions, and therefore, I call it as a isotropic etching. When it is uneven in directions, I call it as anisotropic, and here the term comes which is known as degree of anisotropy. Now, what does that mean? The degree of anisotropy is 1 minus dV by dH by dV, where dH is the variation or the ability to dissolve in vertical direction, and dV is the horizontal in the horizontal direction. Now, please understand, if my vertical etching ability is very high, suppose this is 100 and this is only 1, then my etching rate will be anisotropic, it will be high degree of anisotropy it will have. If both vertical and horizontal are 1, this will be 1, and then A, that is the degree of anisotropy, will be 0. I call it as isotropic. Please remember that. Now, this is what is. Now, this is basically isotropic etching. Now, what happens is, when my material is exposed to this particular chemical etchant over here, it will keep on etching away till the time it is available over here. Now, if you exceed the time, it is not able to, like, it is a selective etching, it will not etch away this surface, this is surface A and this is surface B, it will not etch away the surface B, but it knows, like, it is only identifying that species which are the species which it can dissolve, and therefore, the dissolution will happen in these directions also, and therefore, what will happen is, if this particular is of 1 micron, this will exceed in this direction also, and resultant what you call gap or the resultant dimension of this particular area which we were expected to etch away of 1 micron will be this 1 micron, this 1 micron and this 1 micron, it will be approximately 3 micron, which is totally not tolerable. Similarly, here also you have a film, okay, you can make use of, like, there are some techniques, threads which are used. Here you are using a stop wall, and through stop wall you are you have a stop wall through which you can carry out the etching. We will see that in detail in the next lecture. how this is basically a technique through which we can manipulate how to get the best results out of etching. Another is you have, this is basically an anisotropic etching, non-uniform etching, and you have vertical and horizontal is not properly aligned. And etching follows successive dissolution layers, basically it is subsequently for dissolving the layers, and naturally the crystal orientation has greater role to play, because the bond density has slowest H, like depending lowest bond density will have slowest H rate. For reaction limited etchant it is found to be very, very true. For diffusion limited case, the first reacting etchant, there is a local heating and uniform etching is observed in all directions. With absence of HF, that is hydrofluoric acid, it is that essentially removes the oxide layer formed during the etching. The process has been observed to be highly anisotropic, and as much as 600:1 anisotropy of degree, like degree of anisotropy can be attained, where you can have strong trenches or deeper trenches can be created within the wafer. Anisotropy is stronger for reactions carried out for lower temperatures, which are in the range of 0 to 100 degree centigrade. A series of etchants consisting of mixture, there are different mixtures which have been used, and they give you very good results. Now, once you know the idea how the etchant is going to behave, you know exactly the process through which it is happening. So, you know exactly how it is going to behave. So, you can exactly decide the trench, the size of the trench you can decide. Now, this is my surface, here I am having the exposure area, this is another oxide layer suppose, and I am going to create, okay, I have a strong solution, its chemical reaction and angle, everything I am aware of, this angle I know, everything I am aware of. So, I can program or I can make sure that this window opening can be optimized so as to get vertical etch also in a desired manner, so that we have precise etching. So, precise trench is getting opened using this kind of technique. Almost all machining applications make use of such techniques. They use, okay, for silicon etching, they are based on the facts that the window and the lineup, the windows are exactly opened accordingly and lined up in the direction, desired direction, either 110 or 111, like 110 direction on 100, because the etching is crystal orientation dependent, and therefore, you can get desired openings or cuttings, which like vertical trenches also you can have, and vertical grooves also you can design as having as anisotropy, as a degree of anisotropy as 400:1. So, this is what is undercutting being shown. This is what is the trenches and the undercutting is being shown, which is giving you selectivity, that is improper or non-uniform behavior in case of this. Now, you know already etching the bulk is very difficult as compared to, or thin film is very difficult as compared to bulk. Suppose I am having area of 500 micrometer and I want to have only 5 micrometer film and rest of the thing I want to etch. So, under such situation it will be very difficult for me, and this is what is the necessity in my smart sensors. I do not want that. So, in that case I can make use of different techniques, and such techniques or those kind of techniques are we can make use of, like the etching process is very what you call dependence, or it has got dependence on different parameters, and such parameters are basically you can irradiate films or expose them to optical illusion illumination. Then you can have high built-in stress. If the films are having high built-in stress, then your etching tendency will be high. Then if you have poor microstructures, if you are made the films are made up of mixed phase films or made up of alloys, then also the reaction will be different. The typical crystallographic silicon and typical etchants are being listed over here. You need not have to get into the details of it, just to get the overall idea, these have been listed. So, you have, I told you already, HF, HNO3 and acetic acid, you have HF and CrO2 in H2O, or your p-n junction delineation is being done with HM and HNO3. So, even if you remember these two, it is more than sufficient for you. For metals, you know HCl and HNO3 is being used. So, these are typical agents which are being used, and if at the end of the particular lecture, this is what general etching introduction we have covered in this particular lecture. If you are able to understand the role of etching, if you are able to identify, or if you are able to answer these questions like how the surface properties are altered, how the anisotropy is being, like what is the meaning of anisotropy, degree of anisotropy, and how it is being done, we are able to, we can proceed with the next stage, that is how actual etching is happening, and that will be covered in the subsequent lecture. Thank you, God bless and good luck.